I'm a little bit perturbed with the world today. I woke up yesterday morning thinking that all was right in the world and that Disney sucks and that Star Wars sucks and that Star Trek sucks equally and every IP has been destroyed. And then I come across this cartoon and I was like, oh, that kind of looks interesting. It's Star Trek. I'll check it out. So I go and look at it. And it's more Star Warsy than anything Disney's produced in the past 5 years. And I'm absolutely, utterly freaking shocked to just lack of words. I'll watch 3/4 of the freaking series in a sitting because it's not terrible. Not because it's great. It does have great aspects, but it's not terrible. And I'm not really sure what to do with that information. It feels like...
We interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
It's finally official, ladies and gentlemen. There is a decent Star Wars series to be seen. However, you must find it in the deepest, darkest corners of the interwebs. Good luck. I hope you find it.
3, 2, 1.
If you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror.
The communists declared that the real differences among our people constituted the weakest and most vulnerable point in our social fabric.
It's MAGA country.
This is no hoax, ladies and gentlemen. I urge you to run for your lives while you can. We're not making this up just so we can take over the world.
The old dinosaur media isn't dying, it's dead. We are the new media. This is our world now. Lay down and die.
Peace was never an option.
So if we don't step up and win this culture war, then who the fuck will?
Let's wake the fuck up! We're gonna get naked.
No! I'm locked in here with you.
That's it! You're locked in here with me!
It's what you've been waiting for. Be the one we need.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Let me show you.
Global industrial complex.
Yep.
Uniparty.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
The point is to destroy Western civilization from within using Maoist technique.
So therefore you have to vote for me.
I don't know. This is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Woke is Marxism, evolved to attack the West.
Stop giving up.
It's only just begun! Now!
Do it! Yes, you can!
I'm gonna do what's called a pro-gamer move.
Just do it!
Are people bitching about that?
Some people.
Of course they are. Oh, fucking hey. All right, got it. Yeah, too fucking bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Far left conspiracies, to be honest with you.
Ain't no single entity going to swoop in and save the day. You are going to be continuously let down if you place all of your hope into one individual. Instead, look inside and look around. We're doing this together.
We all are fighting for the same thing, and we all see the same problem, and it's this...
It's time to stop being an NPC, get off your ass, and join the meme war.
Shame. Shame.
No, I don't like you.
Shame.
If we were in the wild, I would attack you.
I'm sick of it, man. I'm fucking sick of it. I will not do it again.
Thank you.
I wonder how many people feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Be the beating drum at the head of the growing creative cavalry charge. Be vocal and profound in your passion for projects you enjoy.
No more excuses.
I've seen it. I can't even compute all of it. It's so fantastical. You've not seen nothing. You ain't heard nothing. You ain't smelled nothing like this. I don't have words to tell you.
A new world order.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Hey, wait a minute.
Now keep in mind, Operation Human Shield will suffer heavy loss.
About it. You control population, you destroy the family, and then you you sow division. I mean, this is...
You don't need a destination when you're running on an omnidirectional treadmill.
We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2.
Are we ready for a new world order?
You'll never defeat the human spirit. You'll never defeat God. You'll never win.
Pray that he is watching.
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you.
That was greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chilling with Sasquatch, where we're going to be checking out a couple of variations on the concept of monster. Right? These are the folks out there that cannot abide by normal society, and they inevitably go off the rails, right? The first guy has literally built himself a mobile hobby chamber. And his hobby is dark and nefarious. So I've got somebody backstage who's probably picking at her nose just in time. Oh no, that is not how that works. That's how that works. I
was picking my nose, but see, you can't see. Haha. Okay.
That's because I'm super psychic. You see all the power? I have all this power. Right? Okay. Now, everyone's been bitching at me, wanting to know what my different things are that I have, right? I have these things, they're out there in the world. Now, it turns out I'm really bad at banners and bottom thirds and all of this silliness, right? So, like, everything's going to be covered up for this show because I didn't do it right. But I now know one way not to do it. So, what do you think about the first story? Have we gone into it at all yet?
No.
So you know nothing about this individual.
I do not.
All right. So imagine you had Dexter. Only Dexter's not out hunting bad guys. Dexter drives a truck and kills whatever happens to cross his path. In his truck, he decides to build a little wonderland of joyful parties. Well, not exactly. Let's get into it. Hey, Jot, tell everybody who's here. What's here? Let me do the thing with the buttons.
You gotta do the thing with the buttons.
Yeah. You know, so everybody knows who I'm talking to, and that you're an actual person and not just like a figment of my imagination. Think you're real? Does that make you real? No. Do you think you're real?
I know I'm real.
Well, that makes at least one of us.
Well, Caucasian, you don't count. So, hey, I thought we were doing the thing with the chat.
We're going to do the thing. We can do the thing with the chat. That's where we're at. We'll do the thing. I forgot the thing. See, this is why I keep people around, because I get slipping off sideways every chance I get. OBKB, baby. Now, we're going to start with Claiborne County Transparency gets the gold. You want to tell this one?
Nope.
ATL gets and a little bit of hate from AJOT. Violence is Life gets the bronze. Welcome in, everybody. There's one more trophy to get tonight. It is the participation trophy for the best troll response I see. Now, Chihuahua bats are not real, although you give Bill Gates that idea and they might be real soon. We got Scrappy Dreams. What's up, Russell? Good to see you, bud. John Denicola's joined the chat, which means we're actually on the map somewhere. 7 Sig beats 9mm. There's something wrong with me. Welcome in, bud. Good to see you. Tiffany's Epiphany has returned, which means she did not die out there in the wilderness. So that's good. We got KK Bootsy chilling out in the background. You know, they're just going to sit over there with their pretty feet. I'm not going to explain that statement. You can try to figure it out for yourself. Bat Mom is here. No. Hey,
Fat
job.
mom.
Screwed the pooch on that one, didn't I? Danny Staten has joined the chat. I'm going to get with him, and we're going to have to discuss which channel I'm going to do, because there's a selection.
Webbed feet.
Webbed feet, motherfucker got webbed feet. Don't
What's
help
up?
him swim.
We got amazing Izzy up in here.
Where did I miss Izzy? Where's Izzy? How come I ain't? Oh, I ain't got that far down yet. You jumping ahead. Stop it. You're making it bad. Joe Pat, welcome in, bud. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming by. Can't tell you how much. Mr. Super Sidewinder. That is cool. Izzy. I'm not doing it right. Webbed feet. What is wrong with you people? Jesus Christ. What is? I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with everyone in my chat. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
You want to try to say that one?
Yeah, it's Gregory. I talk the cameraman 1970.
Awesome. I don't even need to be here for this. I can just let you do it. So that mom, here's how this works. All right. So it either falls to whoever drops the smart assiest line about whatever we're talking about at the time, like we're watching a video and we're checking everything out, right? Or if someone happens to have a sock account with an especially tasty title that I can actually say out loud, mid-sized tentative. It's a little too early to word it yet, but we have a tentative participation trophy. Yo. That's good beans. Oh my god, that's so hard.
I've never seen
Let's
that
go with
one.
that hard. I didn't know I had any fans that were that hard. Was that 10 seconds? Yeah. No. Sometimes, man, it gets hard to pay attention to chat because, you got people you got people
No.
like,
Well, if I'm here, I'm the chat reader. He's the content creator. And so I always mess him up because I'm talking to chat. And he's like, what are you talking
what the fuck are you talking about? Why? What do you mean 2 trees and a balloon? Is this I didn't know this was Pinky and the Brain. Where are we going to get 2 giraffes in high heels at this time of night? Yes. Get it. I figure as long as I keep you giggling, it'll be pretty good. Oh yeah, we're doing stuff. I forgot. I actually planned this one. No, that's not right. Stop it. Damn. It's hard.
Although on the side, you can read your little thingies. Just saying. But I like being on top. I mean,
I'm gonna need a little more information. On what side?
I'm saying how it just was before you changed it, before you split us.
Way. Well, no, let me see.
Being on the side, yeah, see, you can see both of them. Oh, I guess no, that one covers the.
Yeah, but that's just the YouTube link. It doesn't even really need to be there at all.
Oh yeah, well, see, there you go.
Just there because it was one of the.
But you have to switch you and I. I'm sorry, I'm a topper, I'm a bottomer. Yes. Yeah.
All righty then. Let's are we there? Have we done enough?
We're there. Yes, we've done enough. Moving on.
Do I have to play with my little thingy a little
Truck
bit more?
stop killer with a mobile torture chamber.
Hey, don't say those words out loud. It is a wonderland of hobby shops.
Do you cover your little thingy? I wish, I could agree, but unfortunately, see, Halloween, he had on this really tight, costume that, yeah. Well, it showed a little bit more than a little thingy. Just saying.
If you're not familiar with Freakazoid, don't check that to find out about it. That's not just for some information. My favorite part of it though is because the way the outfit was, the F on my chest was just yellow enough to blend with the background, and so like the whole time there's like stuff just happening. It's not actually the Freakazoid emblem. It's different.
We are not talking about what was on your chest. Below your waist.
Grass don't grow on a playground. Yeah, no. What's the
Wonderland. Back to the Wonderland. Oh, you're muted. He pulled a Bowie bolt. I said you're muted. You're muted.
No,
Okay.
I was asking my wife a question.
Oh, all
When she
right.
mentioned when they mentioned the Bowie bulge.
Yes.
When you mentioned the Bowie bulge, it reminded me of the ballet scene in Naked Gun, in one of the Naked Gun series where the chick hops across the bulges on the dance lake. That shit kills me every time I think about it. Oh my Lord.
Okay,
All right,
yes,
now
John DeCola. We're back to the topic at hand, sir.
monsters. Monster of Limbo. We're all going to sit around and talk about the monsters. Why don't we start putting stuff in the freaking water to talk about the monsters gig? That's my question. Dude, I absolutely loved your New Year's stream, sitting there with Hank Hill arguing as Alex Jones. Dude, I had cramps. I had to just mute up and like stretch out for a bit because my ribs cramped up entirely trying to do that.
Is that what happened?
No, I don't have a codpiece. Not handy. Yeah, no, it's hilarious. It's freaking hilarious.
Mayor wears short shorts. P wears short shorts. Okay, come on.
I'm not permitted to wear short shorts. I have to at least wear mid-thigh. Things don't always stay. No! Why does everything always get ruined? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Okay, so our first video is from Absolute Crime. I've looked into a few of their stuff. They do really visually striking and beautiful videos. Some of the narration sometimes gets a little drony, and but I mean it's no worse than I do. I mean it sounds to me much like I sound when I'm trying to read lines for somebody else, and I've recorded it like 30 times. It sounds like they've gotten to that point. To me. But I've done that before, so I kind of know how it sounds. When you hear them over there sounding like they're trying to make the choice between picking up the pistol and taking another shot, they're like,
take a shot while picking up the pistol.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you gotta click. And if anybody has any complaints as to the quality or dimensions of our show, be sure to apply all complaints to Data mandatory carry on YouTube. He is our complaints department. Just go tell him everything you hate about pretty much everyone that he'll probably agree.
Fuck you, Gary.
On the 1st of April 1990,
with much love,
Arizona State Trooper Michael Miller pulled to the side of Interstate 10 in Casa Grande to inspect a parked truck. When he peered through the windows of the cab, he couldn't believe what he saw. The face of a fine woman chained up like an animal. He immediately handcuffed the truck driver and put him into his patrol car.
I think he was probably thinking, how am I going to get out of this? What do I do now?
Hey, now, wait a second, Mr. Super Sidewinder. As I understand it, in the media sphere of YouTube and the social media elites, licking a gay monster might be the way to get ahead in the world. To get some head in the world.
Go back to bed. I'll be back. I think that's about as far as I'm going to go.
Michael didn't know it yet,
I'll
but
spread
he'd
something.
apprehended a
You might
cold-blooded
love it.
serial killer, Robert Ben Rhoades.
He is without doubt one of the most dangerous men ever to have stalked the American highway.
For over a decade, Rhoades had been raping, torturing, and killing vulnerable women across the country. But he'd remained completely
All right, Claiborne. I'm sorry. I have to break character here for a second. Listen, brother. I love you dearly. I do. You tickle me in ways that I didn't even know I could be tickled because you're dead serious. And that makes me happy inside of my soul. But I do not own absolutely hilarious or Caucasian. There's supposed to be a apostrophe in there. Grammar Nazi is screaming at me to stop it. Sorry. I can't control him. This is my 5th cup of coffee and I'm just getting warmed up. You're gonna get it tonight, bud. Yeah.
detected.
I think that Robert Ben Rhoades is probably the most evil person I've ever met in my life. And I've met a lot of evil people.
The police were only just discovering the gruesome crimes of Robert Ben Rhoades, one of the world's most evil killers.
What's up, JC News Now? Welcome in, bud. Good to see ya.
When 66-year-old Robert Ben Rhoades pleaded guilty to the murders of Douglas Iskowski and Patricia Walsh in March 2012, it took his official tally of victims to 3. But investigators suspect he's killed dozens more. It's believed that the long-distance truck driver was active from the mid-1970s, preying upon vulnerable hitchhikers and sex workers across America.
Rhoades' victims were people who would readily get into his truck. He wouldn't have to coerce them to do so.
Me
He's
and the
looking
video.
at
Is that good?
He's looking at
Can you hear
people
me?
who need help from
Yeah, yeah.
truck drivers and motorists.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
these are individuals where he already has the access and he already has the opportunity.
All right, so homie goes and gets him basically a big ass freaking box truck, like a full on fucking Freightliner. And he's apparently a private owner operator. And because of this, he gets to choose like his limits on what he's willing to haul. By doing this, he has the capability of building his own we're going to call it a winter wonderland. Okay.
Okay.
I don't like the other words. So he builds his own winter wonderland in the back of his container so that anytime someone searches it, they come up with basically, let's say it's a 60-foot container or whatever. He's got 10 by however wide it is to himself back there with his toys, you know, and his ice cream for the winter wonderland that we're talking about.
Winter Wonderland, Bootsy. Winter
artistic-
Wonderland.
Well,
Or
I mean,
we could call it the Red Room.
we could call it the hobby shop.
There you go. There you go. The hobby shop. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to try not
I
to
don't
say-
like Winter Wonderland.
Okay, no winter wonderland. Not
No.
enough dry. Gotcha. All right, let me get this in the chat so that I know everybody knows. It's important for there to be we just got to have more, you know.
Red Drum.
No, obviously not. We need more cowbell.
It was a routine check of his parked trailer by an Arizona state trooper in April 1990 that led to Rhoades' dark secrets being revealed. The truck
Dun, dun,
driver's
dun.
horrific crimes may have been discovered accidentally, but it would take the ingenuity of 3 detectives across 2
Okay,
states
Tiffany, we're going to
to
back
help
all the
bring
way
the
up so
serial
that
killer
Tiffany can
to
watch this from the
justice.
beginning.
Detective Michael Shealy first heard the name Robert Ben Rhoades while investigating a murder in Illinois.
He'd been a truck driver for a long time and gave him a great deal of opportunity to find victims at local truck stops along the interstate, hitchhikers, which we know were victims. So he had a great deal of opportunity for such a predator as he was. And that's exactly the words that he is. He was a predator.
FBI Special Agent Bob Lee worked with Michael to find out more about Rhoades.
He not only kidnapped women, but he kept them and tortured them for as much as 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And that made him a special kind of evil as I saw him.
A decade after Rhoades had been imprisoned for murder in Illinois, Texas Ranger Brooks Long uncovered 2 more victims of Rhoades.
If anybody out there happens to have the list, then email it to me. I will do a dramatic reading of all of the names on the list.
Are you talking about what's his name list?
Yeah, let's not say that name either.
I didn't.
Okay, I'm just saying I was looking for somebody talking about that particular topic, and when I went and looked, there is not a single non-mainstream media source available on YouTube. And not one of the mainstream media ones actually shows or names the individuals on the list. They just discuss the fact that a list exists, but nothing about who might actually be on it. Yeah, I can't find the full list either. All I can find is a bunch of absolutely hack nobodies that no one's ever heard of, and the assumption that Jimmy Kimmel, Bill Clinton, and a handful of other people are on the list, and also references and affidavits to Trump being mentioned in the list. But I don't have any actual evidence for anything. And so if anyone out there happens to have that list, I will do a dramatic reading of all of the names with no explanation for why those names are together.
I haven't seen the physical list, but I know this morning on Indoctrination's backup channel, he was listening to a radio podcast that was naming the people on the list. So, but
Clean Clan fans.
I would say that he had the ability to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He was able to coerce people to trust him and gain confidence in his good old boy laid back attitude. But once he had their trust and their guard was down, then you saw the real Robert Ben Rhoades come into play.
The story of this transient killer begins in November 1945. Robert Rhoades was born in Council Bluffs, Iowa. He was mostly raised by his mother, as his military father, Ben, spent a lot of time overseas.
So there are periods of time when Rhoades' father is away from the family home, and I think there's a sense in which he perhaps misses him. There's a sense in which that the family feels incomplete, and there's a longing for an attachment to his father. But when his father returns, he's quite brutal. He's quite violent towards him. So I think he did feel this conflict about his relationship with his father all the time.
It was a relationship that soured further when Rhoades was a teenager.
When Rhoades was 16, his father was convicted for sexually assaulting a 12-year-old girl. So his father was essentially an abuser. And this behavior was a reflection of a misogynistic value system that he had, that women and girls were there to be used and abused, that they served.
All right. Bill, liberal hive mind did the same thing that the mainstream media is doing. He's discussing it, and the same names we've already named here tonight, for the most part, are all that he has on that video. The actual picture that you see is, I think, the thumbnail, and it's so digitized you can't possibly read anything on it. So I'm looking, you know. Hey, YouTube, y'all are all autistic. Get them.
A function for men. And I think that was something that would have cemented itself in Rhoades' mind.
Ben was an army veteran and a firefighter. Could hardly be a more upright member of the community.
It's the gypsy and the vanilla
So imagine
gorilla.
the shame.
What's up, bud?
That would have
Welcome
fallen
in.
upon him for his arrest for sexually lascivious behavior.
I think another important.
Is it storming at my place? Oh, you're talking about my background. Hey, no, man, that's just my raw animalistic power.
Thing when we look at his father's conviction is his father's response to it. So he takes his own life shortly after he's convicted of this crime. And in this case, suicide.
And just to be clear, it's hoeing okay, bud. It's hoeing all right. Pimp Squatch is well. It's, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is the ultimate act of control. It's the ultimate way of saying, I'm not going to take responsibility for my own actions. I'm going to decide to opt out of this whole thing altogether.
Was it that made the change to Rhoades' character? Was it that flicked the switch?
Rhoades was a college dropout who'd also failed in becoming a police officer. He went through numerous jobs and 2 failed marriages, never seeming to settle. By the late 1970s, though, he'd found the job that would define his murderous career.
Eventually, Rhoades finds a job that suits him down to the ground, and that's the job of a long-haul truck driver.
All right. How many of you people out there personally know an actual long-haul truck driver? Not someone who used to do it, not someone that is planning on doing it or has done it a little bit, but actually year after year, long haul.
Callahan.
Absolutely. They're all nuts, right? I mean, this man walks around talking like freaking Hank Hill. Really want to get him backstage so we can have an argument about how all the propane and propane accessories are turning all the Sasquatch gay.
I'll make that happen for you.
Yeah, it'll be you that does it.
So here he has long periods of time when he's unsupervised, he's off the grid, he doesn't have to answer to anybody. And here he gets the chance to spend long periods of time on his own, ruminating, fantasizing. And I think this is a very dangerous period in his life.
At the age of 41, Rhoades married his 3rd wife, Deborah. But his sexual perversions would eventually lead to their separation.
Their relationship, she was disillusioned when the marriage went on because Rhoades wanted to go to a swinger club here in Houston. That was something that she didn't want to do, but he kept pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope.
Rather than just accepting that and saying, okay, that's fine, he pointed to her and said, well, clearly there's a problem with you. You need to loosen up. So this is showing me that his relationships, if you'd call them that, with women, they weren't.
So I'm going to take it from that single statement that he was looking for a size queen.
Based on mutuality or respect or love or affection. They were simply a way of him getting what he wanted.
Deborah admitted subsequently how badly she'd been abused by Rhoades, the man who thought nothing of handcuffing her to the bed or raping her so badly that she feared for her life. But it's undoubtedly true that that form of sexual abuse was the signature that was to develop throughout Rhoades' crimes.
Rhoades had an uncontrollable sexual appetite,
driving me crazy.
Working as a long
to fix it. I can't stand it anymore. It's making me nuts. Oh, I can't do that because it's not there. It's actually a record. Where the technical issues are part of the show. It's driving me crazy. It's making me nuts. The fact that everything's visible except for the Caucasian Sasquatch, and I can't make that just go away and not be there. Getting hives or some shit. Agent.
Distance truck driver presented him with the perfect opportunity to act out his aggressive sexual perversions on strangers he would meet along the road, with or without their consent.
I think it's important to emphasize here the term consent, because there are people who will consensually engage in this kind of behavior. But when it came to Rhoades, he didn't care whether people consented to it or not. He wanted to do this, and whether or not people were happy with that was just completely disregarded.
In February 1990, a distressed young woman flagged down passing motorists. She claimed she'd been abducted by a truck driver and kept hostage for 2 weeks.
She was subject to torture, sexual assault, and rape. And she actually had a leash round her neck when she was found by passing motorists. So this was a victim of Rhoades. This was somebody who had luckily managed to escape with her life.
The police drove the young woman across Houston looking for Rhoades' truck.
And
so I'm kind of a little perturbed by the fact that this is being covered by a British channel, and that I could not find a better depiction of this by anyone east of the west of the freaking Atlantic. There's this one Irish dude who did a really good job, but I couldn't understand a fucking thing he said. Well, he got a whole bunch of news reports about it, and it told the story really well, but at the same time, it's 90% copyrighted material. You know, I'm like, hard pass. Love it. Excellent work. Good job. I can't remember the dude's name. His truck and trailer reminded me BJ and the Bear because of how he painted it. Yeah, he probably did some stuff like that specifically to make it look a little more cuddly from the outside. I mean, which one are you more likely to pull over and really search? The one that looks like the trailer from Smokey and the Bandit, or the one that's over there with rust pockets and a broken freak axle dragging one tire? Probably the one dragging one tire, right? West Side! What's up, bud? Good to see you, girl. Welcome in.
In the house.
They immediately started searching for it, and they found it. But when they brought Rhoades out to the car for her to look at him, she just looked down, would not identify him, said, "That's not him."
It was an opportunity to stop Rhoades that sadly wasn't taken.
Later that day, after they let him go, she told him that was...
Hello, Orb Puff. Welcome in. Good to see you. I appreciate your time and your patronage to this channel. Yeah, no, that's all bullshit. How you doing?
Was him, but she was too afraid to identify him, even though there were 2 police officers by her side. She had been completely terrorized and traumatized during the 2-week ordeal.
Rhoades is such a terrifying man that he puts literally the fear of God into this young woman. Now that must have even further confirmed Rhoades' absolute sense of invulnerability.
Right?
They must have got puns. Even further inflated his already overinflated.
Those are my job.
A chance to put Rhoades safely behind bars had been missed, but now he remained free to stalk the highways. By the spring of 1990, the 44-year-old had been living as a sexual predator and a murderer for over a decade, but nobody had any idea. His veneer of lies was about to come crashing down. On the 1st of April 1990, a state trooper named Michael Miller spied a truck on Interstate 10 in Casa Grande, Arizona.
I observed a truck parked on the side of the road with his emergency lights on, but he had no triangles out. So I went up alongside of the truck to pull behind the truck. My lights activated to go up and check on the driver of the truck and see what his situation was.
Armed with a flashlight, Michael took a look through the windows of the truck.
I saw some lights in the back in the sleeper berth and peered in the window of the driver's side of the truck. And I shone my flashlight in. I heard a woman started screaming. And what I saw was a woman, but it looked like she had a horse bit in her mouth.
Shocked to see a woman with a metal restraint strapped to her mouth, Michael was even more surprised when a man appeared out of the darkness of the cab.
The driver came sliding out of the sleeper berth and then came on down to the pavement and put his hands up against the side of the truck. And he said, "That's okay, officer, everything's fine. We are consenting adults." And I still heard screaming coming from inside the truck. And he said, "I've got a gun in my rear pocket." And I patted him down, felt it, took it out, put it in my pocket, and then handcuffed him, took him back to my patrol car. I think he was probably thinking, how am I going to get out of this one? What do I do now?
With the man seemingly restrained, Michael headed back to the truck.
And when I got back up there and looked inside, I saw a completely naked female. And I took a blanket that was there and covered her up. Told her that she was okay, that the police were taking care of it, and the driver would not bother her anymore.
But had Michael waited a minute more, the man in his car, Robert Ben Rhoades, would have been free.
Well, I went back to my patrol car, and Mr. Rhoades had gotten his handcuffs in front of him, and he was in the process of trying to get a key in his pocket to get his handcuffs off. If he'd have done that, he'd have been gone. He'd have fled the scene.
Robert Ben Rhoades was arrested and taken to Casa Grande Police Department.
How would he have, isn't the, you can't open the door from the inside, I thought. So how would he have been gone?
Well, the glass isn't unbreakable.
Well, I mean, true, but by then you shoot the bastard.
But they didn't, they also did, he admitted that he didn't exactly pat him down well. He went straight for the gun that he told him about. So God knows what else he might have had on him at that time.
Right.
He could have,
but he didn't have the gun on him. He told, I missed it. Sorry, I had to step away.
All right. So when the cop got up there to the truck, he was out of the truck, and when the cop noticed him, he heard yelling or screaming, grunting, moaning from inside the truck. He walked around the truck and said, "We're two consenting adults. We are participating in a game. I have a pistol in my back pocket." And he put his hands on the truck. The cop took the pistol, put him in the back seat, and homie almost got out.
But why didn't he take the pistol and then pat his ass down?
He took the pistol, put him in handcuffs, put him in the back of his patrol car, and then went to go check on the chick.
No, I got you. But any other time, a cop would have more than patted down. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just
I get what you're saying, but I believe at the point in time,
he was concerned for the people that
he thought he was dealing with consenting adults doing something hinky. And rather than just outright completely screw the pooch on constitutionality, he took the lesser of two evil roads. And instead of shaking this guy down like a criminal, he put him in the car until he could investigate, which is exactly what he should do. Having a pistol is not illegal.
No,
Standing
right.
on the road is not illegal. Being a freaky deek in the sheet is not illegal. It's not in public, so that doesn't count.
Right.
So
Claiborne, I see, I hear you.
You have to point at something specific that he has obviously done that is obviously illegal before we can really get a whole bunch further. Although the fact that he has someone tied up in his cab is enough for searching and opening doors and stuff like that. That's definitely extra. Reasonable as fuck, in my opinion. Yes, ma'am. Right. You got it.
Invite me back. I think that's about as far as I've ever gone.
Detectives wanted to know more about the man whose home address was over 1,000 miles away in Houston, Texas, under the jurisdiction of FBI agent Bob Lee.
He had been arrested the night before, and they asked me to get some background information on Rhoades since he lived in Houston at the time.
Treat yourself to the best gift in history this holiday season.
Listen, it's not suspicious intent. That man had a woman restrained in the back seat. That is reasonable, articulable suspicion. That is as reasonable as it gets. When you hear somebody banging their head in the back of a truck going, You investigate.
I mean, right. I mean, I like the bondage, but not everybody does. What can I say?
No, but here's the thing. Here's what I'm getting. Thank you for bringing that up. All right.
You're welcome.
This is the key. This is the full-on key. His immediate explanation was that they are two consenting adults participating in a consensual activity in the privacy of his truck.
Mm-hmm.
Until this officer can verify that something hinky is going on, it's not illegal.
Mm-hmm.
The simple fact that there is someone restrained in the vehicle is enough to put this guy in cuffs, put him in the back of the car, and go talk to the other person in there. Because I'm not going to say chick, it could have been anyone.
Right.
So go talk to the other person in the truck and go, are you consensually here? And they start going,
Right. 100%.
We now have full exigent circumstances. This truck is going into evidence. The whole thing. Whereas if they had nodded, we're having fun, then he would have probably turned around, went to the car, let homie loose, and gave him his pistol back, went for a ride about the things he had done in his life.
100%.
That's the method that this cop used to get this guy was utterly flawless. I have nothing negative to say about the officer, even though some people are like, oh no, he should. No. Until she admitted that it was non-consensual, there was no reason to think that there was a crime afoot other than the fact that she's bound, which, as you've pointed out, is not necessarily a crime. Although maybe it should be. My mouse sucks. I'm gonna have to get a new one. I suspect it might be what's been causing my computer to glitch out.
Enjoy unlimited access to award-winning podcasts and thousands of hours of original history documentaries released weekly exclusively on History
Rhoades.
From Pompeii to miss out on this incredible...
The young girl had been through it.
All right. So here's the deal. If I've been patronizing your channel for a while and you start doing ads, I will show your ads when I'm watching your content. If I've never heard of you before, I've only seen a few of your videos and they've all had ads, I'm going to assume other people have seen the ads. But that's just me. What do I know?
Through a traumatic ordeal at the hands of Rhoades.
When the victim was interviewed by the detective, she tells him that Rhoades agreed to give her a ride. She said that she fell asleep, and when she woke up, he had her chained in the sleeper compartment and was starting to take her clothes off. He had his truck modified. He had put some anchors on both sides of the sleeper where he could put handcuffs attached to a chain on her feet, and the same thing with her hands. But she also said that, I was going to see the president. It makes you wonder what her grip on reality is. And then you take that back to the allegations she's made, and is that a credible statement?
I'm going to go with the idea that if I find you chained up in the back of someone's truck, regardless of how tardated they might be, we are going to start at the assumption that you don't want to be there, especially if you have difficulty explaining it.
Right.
Once we get all of this back to the station and we check everything out and we verify that everybody's doing what they want to do, I'll put you up to some fucking KFC and y'all can go have y'all a pot pie. It'll be fine. But until we verify your ass ain't kidnapped, we're going downtown.
Gorilla says, did he call his junk the president?
The mental state of the distressed woman meant there was a chance that Rhoades could walk free.
I think Rhoades believed he was going to get away with this because he very deliberately chose victims who were vulnerable. This particular victim had some mental health issues. She experienced delusions, but the police were very good at their jobs here, and they observed this woman's story never changed. It was consistent, and that was what mattered.
Some of the things that helped corroborate her statement, she said that when Rhoades approached...
I gotta ask, I mean, my chat is so deranged. I want to know, how many of y'all used to lick windowsills as a child?
Not that I recall.
This is just like pro gamer move. The sweetest paint chips are on the baseboards under the sill.
Ew.
She was fighting, trying to get away from him, and said, I bit him on his shoulder.
Hey, can you remove your shirt from me? Do I have it? I prefer not.
And he had a bite mark on his shoulder. The case didn't go to trial. Rhoades agreed to enter a guilty plea on a plea bargain and got a reduced sentence on it.
In December 1990, Rhoades was sentenced to 6 years for the kidnap and sexual assault of the young woman. While Rhoades was in custody, Bob had begun to unearth the past of the 45-year-old truck driver.
Well, the first thing I did was check our national database for his criminal history.
It's moments like this. I'm really glad some people get the joke. Lead in the paint has a sweet taste, which is why the ones near the baseboard are the sweetest. Because they're probably the oldest. And also, just because lead paint was banned doesn't mean it's not in homes. It just means it's been painted over. Strip that shit.
And over. And over.
Over and over. So the sweetest ones are still on the baseboards.
And I found he was a suspect in a previous kidnapping. I called the Houston Police Department and spoke to a detective in the sex crimes unit and obtained his report.
The report told the story of the woman who was raped and kidnapped, but refused to identify Rhoades in February 1990. Bob was now aware of 2 cases where women had slipped through the grasp of Robert Ben Rhoades. But he was certain that searching the trucker's apartment would uncover any darker secrets.
I talked to the apartment manager. After she saw in the paper that he'd been arrested, she went up to his apartment to take a look and told me that she saw women's garments all over the apartment.
All right. So this apartment manager is approached by the police. Hey, we'd like to get into this guy's apartment. Absolutely fucking not. Well, we think there might be some evidence that he's been kidnapping women in there. I'll tell you what, I will go look. And if I think there's evidence of kidnapping, I will let you in. You can't ask for any more than that from either side. If you are renting, then the manager has every right to let the cops in.
Right.
If you're not there.
Right.
Okay, so they have every right to walk in and verify that their apartment or their possession or what they're managing is still being maintained properly. So that's not an issue.
Correct.
But can you imagine what she thought when she stepped through the door and saw this place had to be like really sporting. We're talking Zed's dead, honey.
Yeah.
Go get the gimp.
It becomes the candy chip house.
Oh my Lord, the candy chip house. He might have been like suckling on the walls. And he's old enough to get the good stuff.
He also had chains and handcuffs and there was a white towel that had a lot of blood on it. There were some racks where he could chain somebody to.
The apartment bore all the hallmarks of a sexual predator.
Bootsy, I'm not putting that up on screen.
You know, the nipple lamps and stuff.
It showed a young girl who was in various stages of dress. He had a lot of nude pictures of her. He had pictures of her chained up. And I could tell that he had held her for a while because on some of the photographs, she had some bruises, but over time, the bruises were changing color. So that told me that she had been captive for at least a week or so.
So they knew
I don't know how to feel about that.
He harmed other women and at worst killed them. He didn't have any actual cases to connect this evidence to. So this was the beginning of a very long investigation.
The pictures of the young girl preyed on Bob's mind.
I tried to identify the girl. I carried a picture with me, and every time I went to a different police department, I'd show it to the officers to see if...
All right. So back in the day, I used to deliver windows all over the Southeast, and I drove a regular truck with like a gooseneck trailer on the back. And I have a distinct memory at one point in time of stopping at a restaurant to get some food, and I come across a guy in the restaurant who had a picture, like a little bit bigger than a wallet-sized photograph of some random chick I'd never seen, never heard of, or nothing. And he had it safety pinned to his shirt. And he was in there ordering, and the guy in front of me asked him, was like, what's up with the picture? He's like, oh, and he named some chick, like she's been missing for 8 days. And we're just trying to raise awareness to the fact that people are actually looking for her. Now, this guy found a picture in what he believes to be a serial unaliver place, and has it stuck in his head that he has to figure out who this chick is. Now, it's his job, but beyond that, I don't think this was a job thing. If you found that picture, if I found that picture, it would have consumed our consciousness until we either figured it out or died very, very frustrated. Yeah, no, I know the Ed Gein reference. It was a belt, if I remember right. But yeah, human lampshade. Yes.
Any of them recognized her? Did they have a missing person case or anything like that?
In September 1990, over 800 miles away in Bond County, Illinois, reports of the discovery of a body landed on the desk of Detective Michael Sheely.
So I went out to this rural community and met with the sheriff out there. And he had told me that a local farmer was going to donate this particular barn to the fire department to burn down. And he was making a last-minute inspection and had found what he believed to be the remains of a human body.
The badly decomposed body was found up in the hayloft, and it was clear the victim had been murdered.
It was very apparent that there had been a wire garrote made, a ligature, if you will, to place around the victim's neck. And it's our belief that she was bound and handcuffed over a large beam that raised her hands up. And it's our belief that he placed a wire around her neck. Then he continued to squeeze that with this broken piece of board throughout and then strangled her to death.
And he twisted this ligature at least 16 times, according to the medical examiner. So he would not only have enjoyed torturing her, but he would have enjoyed watching her die.
A forensic anthropologist believed that the body had been in the barn for about 6 months.
The other thing he did is that he gave us gender identification, said it was the body of a young girl. He gave us an age range between 14 and 16 years old. He gave us hair color, which we thought would assist in the identification early on. What was alarming is we had approximately 950 missing female girls that fit her profile.
Joe Pat, you were reading my mind.
Overwhelming initially.
Michael sent out details of the victim to missing persons departments across the country. A detective in Pasadena, Texas, soon got back to him.
And she contacted me and she said that her victim, a runaway identified as Regina K. Walters, her family had received an anonymous telephone call after her disappearance saying that she had been left in a barn.
Regina's father receives a call on his unlisted number. So this is a number that isn't publicly available. Regina's one of the few people who actually know it. And he doesn't recognize the caller, but the caller tells him that he knows where Regina is, that she's in a barn, that he's cut her hair. And when her father asks, is she still alive? The caller hangs up.
So immediately, a lot of red flags that this really sounds like this could be our victim. And so I asked if she had dental records.
The dental records confirmed that the body belonged to Regina Walters, who was just 14 years old.
Oh my God.
Detectives could finally put a name to the face on the
wood chipper. Hey, Joe, get the wood chipper ready. We got a candidate over here. Nothing valuable was lost.
Oh my God.
Just in fact, we have increased our carbon our carbon sink by applying it to the land as fertilizer. So value has been gained through the wood chippering of, I can't call them people.
Shocking photographs that had been found in Rhoades' apartment.
Well, the photographs to identify the young person would have been impossible for me from being out there. But the barn that she entered, I knew every square foot of that barn. I'll give you a reference here. I had seen that barn for days and days. And so the minute I saw the photographs of her entering the barn and going into the barn loft and the beams, it just gave you that eerie feeling that that's exactly what had to happen here. And so we were on to this case.
2 photos of Regina in particular were difficult to look at.
He had chronologically photographed her. The most telling for us was how he had taken photographs and staged her death, and had staged them during the course right before he'd killed her.
And looking in her eyes and looking at her face, you can tell that she's terrified. And at that point, she's just minutes from being killed. When you see a photograph like that, you have to control your emotions. It's a piece of evidence that you're looking at. You have to realize what your goal is. Your goal is to take this piece of evidence, tie it to someone, and be able to put that person in jail.
The story of how Regina Walters ended up in the truck of Robert Ben Rhoades is a tragic one.
Regina had a boyfriend, Ricky Jones, and she and Ricky decided to run away one day. They were out on the highway hitchhiking, and Rhoades stopped his truck and picked them up. And
legend has it they are still riding around happily today. No. Because on this show, we're usually talking about monsters. They don't let people go. And they look just like anyone else. All right, we're going to watch the wagon wheel roll. Kind of like the old Oregon Trails game, except I think this has more graphics.
Took off with her, and that's the last that she was seen.
She's just really a beautiful, young, almost just totally normal 14-year-old girl with just a little rebellion streak. Unfortunately, she made the wrong decision.
Rhoades kept Regina prisoner in the makeshift torture chamber of his truck for 2 weeks.
I loved that game, by the way.
He disposed of her 18-year-old boyfriend, Ricky, almost immediately. He was never seen again.
She was the prize, and the boyfriend was just surplus to requirements.
While the investigation into Regina's murder continued, Rhoades remained in prison for kidnap and sexual.
Can I point out that the actual trip to California and Oregon was less dangerous and less likely to fail than you on the Oregon Trail? Your wife died of dysentery. Your oxen has broken a leg. You drank bad water from a puddle. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No. Why am I dead? Damn, start over. You were bitten by a rattlesnake. A boulder has crushed your leg. What was the other one? Oh, your wagon was lost in a river. And then it played the little music.
I always lost my wagon.
You okay there? Is this having the same effect on y'all? I didn't think it was that funny. There's a snake in my boot. That's not one of them.
Assault, but by early 1992, he was due out on parole.
It's merely a
clock was ticking for us to make a case against Rhoades.
Detectives in Texas and Illinois had been working together to build the case against Rhoades. If they didn't charge him soon, the dangerous killer would be released. Finally, they had enough evidence.
The district attorney in Bond County, Illinois, issued an arrest warrant for Rhoades for the murder of Regina Walters just prior to him being released from prison in Arizona. And Detective Sheely flew out to the prison to serve him with the arrest warrant and to bring him back to Illinois to face the charges.
Detective Michael Sheely remembers meeting Rhoades in the Arizona prison and confronting him with the evidence linking him to Regina.
He was cold, he was calculated. He didn't have any trouble looking you square in the eye and saying he's not involved. We provided him with the arrest warrant for murder. There's still no reaction, nothing at all. And so I had a 8x10 photograph of Regina, and I put it on the table in front of him, turned it around, and I said, "This is your victim." And that was the first time any emotion out of him. But it wasn't an emotion of sorrow or an emotion of something that he had done. He was angry. And he got up and said that the interview was over. He wouldn't speak to us any longer.
At a court hearing on the 11th of September 1992, Rhoades agreed to a plea bargain. He admitted to murdering Regina Walters so he wouldn't have to face the death penalty.
The courtroom was packed, a great deal of spectators. There had been a lot of interest in this case because there was now speculation that he was a serial killer.
He didn't just plead guilty, he pled guilty with a smile. He was reveling in the trauma that he created. And for me, that shows that he was still very much the sexual sadist that he'd always been. This is somebody who hadn't changed whatsoever. And I think he enjoyed the opportunity to relive the details of these killings.
Regina Walters' family couldn't travel all the way from Texas to Illinois to be in the courtroom, but Michael Sheely made sure he conveyed their feelings to the killer.
As he was beginning to exit the courtroom, I just became overly aware, if you will, that there was no one there on behalf of Regina. And so I mentioned to him in a very small, faint voice as he began to pass me that it was certainly my pleasure that I was going to get to send him into prison for the rest of his life. And he was really upset at that comment and told me to get. And so maybe not as professional as I should have been, I returned and told him where he was going. I was hoping that that was going to happen to him. So that was my last real conversation with Robert Ben Rhoades. And looking back at it, I'm kind of glad that that's what I told him.
All right. I tried to let this go, Ord. But listen, the fuck is a bean cheese? That's right. If you can manage to get your lead paint chips like big enough, you can use them like salsa crackers. You know, you can apparently spread bean cheese on them, whatever the hell that is. What the fuck is bean? I need an explanation. Somewhere in chat.
I do not know what a bean cheese boom is.
It's got to be refried beans or bean curd or something like that. beans and cheese on French toast. I'm so disappointed in you. That is hands down probably the most Eurocentric meal I've ever heard of. That's wild. Maybe you should just have you some haggis or I don't know. Just go shag a sheep or something. I don't know what to tell you, yo.
Behind bars, investigations continued into possible victims of the killer. There were many missing persons who fitted his MO.
Rhoades would target his victims, generally people that either had mental deficiencies or heavy drug users that he picked up.
If you're lucky enough to have some of the old paint with the titanium dioxide in it, those are spicy.
Hitchhiking. He referred to them as lot lizards. These are, as he described, women that hang around truck stops to take care of the truckers or to swap sex for rides somewhere.
He is so itinerant. He literally crosses state line after state line after state line all over the United States. They aren't to know it, but when they climb into the cab of Rhoades' truck, their lives are to change forever.
In 2003, 11 years after Rhoades had been imprisoned for the murder of Regina Walters, Texas Ranger Brooks Long began investigating the disappearance of two hitchhiking newlyweds, Douglas Ziskowski and Patricia Walsh, who'd been missing since January 1990.
Psychonutrients.
They were both from Seattle, Washington. They had basically given up their personal belongings and were traveling to the East Coast of the United States primarily for religious reasons. The family searched extensively for them.
Hey there, hi there, who there?
The remains of Douglas were located around 1990, but there was not a formal identification of it being Douglas Ziskowski till 1992 through dental records. So there wasn't much to go on. There was no witnesses. There were several suspects, but nobody was actually linked to the crime.
28-year-old Douglas's remains had been discovered in Crockett County, Texas. Brooks wanted to look at the ballistic evidence that had been found at the scene.
Mr. Ziskowski was shot multiple times in the head. He was shot with a Jennings J22 semi-automatic handgun.
That is highly illogical. Just because someone calls themselves logical does not make them a Spock. Apparently, he has far too many emotions.
This information was obtained by not only the projectiles removed from his head, but also the casings that were left behind on the crime scene that were collected by law enforcement. So what was unique about the ballistic
information
tell me
what kind of beans you're
was that
about. I want a specific
the
type
ammunition used in the murder of...
Because you got to think about it. You got as many beans as you got types of freaking shrimp platters. Like, you got red beans, black beans, you got yellow beans, you got those weird garbanzo beans, you got... I'm not going to do this all night. There's plenty of beans out there. I'm curious specifically what type of bean. English peas?
Beans, the more you eat them, the more you chew.
Black-eyed peas. You got lima beans, butter beans. You've got... I mean, when you say beans, what kind of cheese for that matter? Like, that too. I'm curious. I'm so curious. I'm so confused. Yeah, there's jumping beans. He's right. Haggis McHaggis. I forgot about that dude.
Mr. Ziskowski was very rare.
This Tarson branded ammunition had a noticeable T on the casings. This fact had initially ruled Rhoades out as the potential killer.
The reason he was eliminated at that time was simply because the ammunition that was seized from Robert Ben Rhoades was marketed under the name of Arms Corps.
Brooks contacted the Casa Grande police to take a closer look at the ammunition that was found in Rhoades' truck when he was arrested for kidnap back in April 1990.
And when he called me, I asked him to open the Armscore box and to describe the head stamp on the casing. And he said, it's a T. So that was the first clue that this is the guy, most probably is the guy. And we need to put efforts and resources into this because that all matched.
With a possible link between Rhoades and Douglas secured, Brooks gathered all the information he had on the killer and concentrated his efforts towards connecting Rhoades to Douglas's 24-year-old wife, Patricia Walsh.
She's probably out there somewhere, and they may not even know who she is because Douglas had no identification. He had no clothing. Regina K. Walters didn't have any identification. She didn't have any clothing. So when you looked at those two situations, what I started doing was looking for a red-headed female in her mid-20s that was probably naked and would have been shot with a Jennings J22 handgun with toss and ammunition.
Brooks received word of a possible unidentified body in Millard County, Utah.
So after I obtained that information, I reached out to the Millard County Sheriff's Office and inquired as to the status of that case. And what I was told by their chief deputy was, we haven't solved it, and the skeletal remains are actually inside our evidence vault. So I was able to tell him, I know who that victim is, and I also know who killed her.
Brooks was right. Dental records revealed that the remains belonged to Patricia Walsh.
Millard County had projectiles and had casings that matched. The same gun killed Douglas Ziskowski, killed Patricia Candace Walsh. So that was linked. Then the timeline on the records, we were able to determine that Rhoades was traveling westbound. So what made sense was,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to see what type of madness it is that we actually have to deal with here. This motherfucker says normal beans and normal cheese. That Vermont cheddar? I mean, I'm not going to go through all the types of cheese there are. When you say a normal cheese, beans. Okay, listen, I am allergic to beans. I will not eat any of your beans. I'm not trying to like take them or stop you from enjoying them or any of that, right? I'm just curious. Go look at the fucking package and tell me what kind of beans are in the damn thing. If you come back as AB normal, I might not be able to talk to you anymore. Oh my God. There it is. Right there, bam.
he eliminated Douglas Ziskowski first.
Douglas was essentially just a barrier because Patricia was what Rhoades wanted. So he killed Douglas, he dumped his body very quickly, but he kept Patricia alive for 7 days, and he tortured her and he raped her before he eventually killed her and disposed of her body.
In 2003, 13 years after her remains had been found in Utah, Patricia Walsh had been identified. Another innocent victim of Robert Ben Rhoades.
Patricia must have been absolutely terrified during the days that she spent with Rhoades. And I think during this time, she probably tried to placate him. She probably tried to plead with him and interact with him. But there would be absolutely no reaction to that from Rhoades because this guy was essentially a killing machine. He wasn't affected by other people's trauma or emotion. He got off on people's fear. And I think the more afraid that Patricia was, the more he enjoyed it.
Investigators still needed to find some hard evidence that linked Rhoades to the newlywed hitchhikers before they could prosecute him with their murders.
Welcome in, Duke City. Good to see you,
So
bud.
now became an analysis and comparison, not only for DNA under Douglas Ziskowski.
Hello, my Duke.
Now there was analysis to be done and comparisons relating to Patricia Candace Walsh. And what had happened on that is eventually there was a match that was located on a white towel that was seized.
I'm trying to decide of what to refer to him as. You know, you've got the Duke, the Dookie, the great Dukerino. If you're not into the
Dookie.
if you're not into just loving my chat. If you're not into the whole brevity thing, then you've got these guys over here just having way too much fun with the fucking cheese.
If you eat enough beans, you're gonna go dookie.
From Robert Ben Rhoades' truck that was matched to the DNA of Patricia Candace Walsh. So there was an affirmative link. The MO, the timeline, these things fit. And Rhoades was in custody. He was in jail in the state of Illinois.
By March 2012, Rhoades had served 20 years for the murder of Regina Walters, but he was due to be released. Now investigators needed to convince a grand jury that he was guilty of 2 more slayings before Rhoades was freed. Once again, the clock was ticking. Texas Ranger Brooks Long needed a...
All right. We might have us a participation trophy winner. Because that is the most that's so horrible. That's so bad. I love it. It's great. I thank you. Thank you for participating.
Jury to indict Rhoades based on the new facts he'd uncovered.
The Crockett County grand jury returned 2 indictments for capital murder on Robert Ben Rhoades for the murder of Douglas Scott Ziskowski and Patricia Candace Walsh, based on the evidence and the information that was presented. So essentially, he was extradited and detained in the state of Texas. And as we were preparing for trial, he pled guilty to both cases and received multiple life sentences.
The killings of Douglas and Patricia took the number of Rhoades' known victims to at least 3. After working as a truck driver.
In a world where people build hobby shops in the back of their truck. What's up, Lawless? Good to see you, bud. Welcome in. Chat suddenly picked up for some reason. That's weird. Y'all went to talking suddenly. We were sitting around staring at each other, longing, looking in each other's eyes.
Only you.
For over a decade, he'd honed his method of murder.
I think that Robert Ben Rhoades preyed on people that I think we coined the term later, disposable. He looked at people that had some checkered history, people that he believed wouldn't immediately be missed. And so I think he systematically profiled his victim, if you will. And I think he was very good at it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of those folks out there. And Rhoades knew that. He had an endless supply of people that he could prey on, and he did.
As far as Rhoades is concerned, any woman hitchhiking or working in a truck stop is fair game. And after all, who's going to miss them? It is a perfect combination. If you were to devise a fictional serial killer, Rhoades would be a very, very good example.
Brooks Long continued his search for victims of Rhoades. There was one obvious person to start with, Ricky Jones, the 18-year-old boyfriend of Regina Walters.
After the work had been done to identify who the killer was to Douglas Ziskowski and Patricia Walsh.
I figured I'd leave it there until you figured it out. Because I have no fucking clue, bro. Although I'm so interested. I'm so curious.
Yeah, I want to know what first beehole. Beehole.
Say it again.
Beehole.
The great Cornolio. TV for your bunghole.
Hey, I am.
I was always better beat. I was always a much better butthead.
Oh, my computer. Oh, gotcha.
Oh. You're so stupid, Beavis. No way about that.
Walsh, then there was resources put into myself in trying to locate Ricky Lee Jones. Because as I reviewed the file
Clearly,
and
you
reached
don't
out
have
to
the same friends I do.
officers and witnesses in that case, it was obvious that he had never been located. His remains had never
Oh,
been
you
found.
must be Ozzy. I'm so sorry.
He had been missing since early 1990. Evidence found in Rhoades' truck when he was arrested in Arizona just weeks after that suggested that he could be the killer.
During the course of the search that was done by the FBI, there was a notebook that was found, a very, very alarming notebook where Rhoades had kept information. In that information, in that notebook, was phone numbers and family names. There was even a notation with a drawing of a knife with appeared to be like blood drops. And it said, Ricky's dead. Ricky Jones is dead.
Brooks sent out information to police departments. He was desperate to locate.
Wait a second. No. That's accurate. They have brothers. They have 2 brothers at least. So they were born with 3 buttholes.
It's Ricky.
We didn't get anything back from these agencies. But as I, on my own, started searching unsolved homicides and looking at various databases online, I essentially came across a young white male's remains that were found in Mississippi. I then reached out to law enforcement, and it was unfortunate because we were able to obtain some teeth from the remains in Mississippi, and we were able to obtain samples, biological samples from Ricky Lee Jones' biological mother, and those were compared and they were matched. So we knew that we'd located Ricky Lee Jones. The bad part about that was that the remains could not all be located. So Robert Ben Rhoades has never stood trial for the abduction and murder of Ricky Lee Jones, simply because there was a lack of evidence.
Despite not being able to link Rhoades to the crime, it is widely believed that he did kill the 18-year-old before murdering Ricky's girlfriend, Regina Walters. Investigators believe Rhoades is responsible for the deaths of many more innocent people.
This is a case that is unresolved.
Finest frog's hair split 3 ways. I say, whoo, hell to the yeah, you find as a camel hair ain't now mammal anywhere that can compare to you, boo-boo. You want me to touch you, don't you? Want to get raunchy, don't you? Won't you call me? You look like a Barbie doll because you so daggum fine. This whole mind of mine work all kind of ways. I'm catching vertigo from a girl who's so voluptuous, one strike, damn near venomous. I like the way you cook it, baby. Somebody cooking the right meat and potatoes. See, I'm feeling the way you filling up that skirt, stopping traffic, dropping jaws like bad habits. You so pretty and I'm pretty flirty. But it hurts me because you're sultry, giving me goosebumps like poultry. I ain't chicken though. You getting close to me could be a beautiful thing for show.
Resolved. It's a case that's incomplete. There are going to be many, many families across America missing relatives who've been murdered by this individual, and they deserve justice.
I think during the course of the investigation...
That brings up far more questions than the bean and cheese. You got to be honest. Don't know how you greased a weasel, and I don't want to know. I just want to know what you did with it afterwards. Oh, what a tangled wheeze he weasels. No, none of that works. It was a bad euphemism. Oh, what a tangled web he weaves. Whoop, whoop. Nice poem. Oh, no, that's straight from Rehab. There's a band out of Warner Robins called Rehab. They did Sitting at the Bar, right? But they also had some less known things like Motherfucker I Love to Cuss. Now That's Love. Anybody who is easily triggered, I advise you to stay the fuck away from Now That's Love. If you have a very visual imagination, you might not want to hear that one. because we can do an 8th and you can lick the crabs off my nuts. I can see how far I can stick this liquor bottle up your butt. You can say I have a little wiener and I'll call you a slut. Yeah. We go hard on that one.
And initially, we believed that it was probably in the neighborhood of probably 10 to 15. But as the investigation grew and the FBI spent a lot of time with it, the behavioral
Just
science
walk
unit
away.
spent
Yeah,
a
and
great deal of
Redwater.
time
Yeah,
and
that's
effort.
them.
And they had actually linked him up to approximately 45 homicides throughout the United States that not only fit his profile, but fit his timeline as well as a truck driver.
I don't think there's any doubt that there's other victims and there's other crimes that can be linked to Robert Ben Rhoades. I think that science and the ability to link potential suspects through DNA are somewhat limited in this case because of his MO and what he would do with those victims.
I guess
But
I'm going to say thank you to
as
that
other
one.
agencies become aware
Although
of Robert Ben Rhoades, hopefully some of
kinda
this
has a William
information will get
Shatner
back
feel
to the
to it, I
right
guess.
investigator or officer or even family
It
member
is. Okay.
that might be able to listen and say, hey, why don't you look at this guy?
Whatever the true number of victims, there could have been many more had it not been for a chance encounter on the side of the I-10 in Casa Grande, Arizona in April 1990.
The most striking moment in the case is that wonderful Arizona Highway Patrol officer coming upon this rig with its hazard lights flashing, climbing up, looking through the window.
Bro, if I was born with less melatonin, I'd be fucking clear. Look at this. I'm a genius with light. I'd be a fucking ghost with less melatonin. Dude, you'd be able to read a newspaper through me. It'd be like one of those fucking glass fish in the aquarium. I would have nothing to hide because I couldn't hide it. Started a worm farm. That's cool. Hey, TB from a bunghole. Kind of makes me want to do a line of sugar. I mean, actual sugar, just to see if I can get some of that, Red Bull and Pixie Sticks action.
And seeing a young woman trapped in the car who starts screaming. That was the moment in which finally,
and I would at least be translucent.
Rhoades'
I mean, I'm almost translucent now.
Run of killing came to an end.
If I was any less colored.
And had that officer not gone to check on that truck, he could well be killing people right now.
I had a phone call from her many, many, many years ago. She thanked me for saving her life. I said, well, hey, you're just doing my job. You enjoy your life and have a good one. I'm glad you have a life to have.
Robert Ben Rhoades remains safely behind bars at the Minard Correctional Center in Illinois. He will never be released from prison.
I think that Robert Ben Rhoades is probably the most evil person I've ever met in my life. And I've met a lot of evil people.
I hesitate and always have hesitated to use the word monster, but Rhoades certainly deserves to be called a monster.
Absolutely. He is obviously a monster. I'm telling you, he is a prime grade A #1 candidate for the wood chipper brigade. I'm telling you, we should have a wood chipper at every single jail for just such types of people. I don't like the idea of hanging or shootings or none of that stuff. I said, we build us a chute. We march those fuckers out there just like we used to do pirates and just kick them off the end of the goddamn and we have a new garden. And use recyclable clothes and everything so that everything's biodegradable. Shave their head, for the sake of animals. Wouldn't want to cause it. Nothing of value was lost. I want to repeat that. Have you been breeding rocks again? They call that a crack dealer. Now I know why you're the vanilla gorilla.
It was like before humans.
Got more snow than Aspen. Oh, how much longer have I got you for, hon? No, he smoked that motherfucker, and you know it.
There's no telling.
Okay, all right, yeah, no, as long as she's asleep, that's fine. So we're gonna go through this one kind of piecemeal because there's nothing in particular I really want to show, just the kind of critters. So when it comes to people talking about cryptids, for some strange reason, the discussion of cryptids and the discussion of extinct taxa don't generally cross paths very much. The people who are looking for the still extant extinct creatures, right, like the thylacine, the dodo, the passenger pigeon, these types of creatures, are not cryptid hunters. It's not a pseudoscience. What they do is simply observing more than most, looking for something that probably doesn't exist. Whereas people looking for cryptids are looking for Bigfoot or Dogman or some other wacky fucking shit like that, right? And if you ask them what happens if they find a gnome, they get all goddamn sketchy as hell and start looking at you like you're the crazy one. Right? So here's my consideration. You can take just about every pseudoscience cryptid in the fucking book and look back at the taxonomic record of prehistory and find something that resembles it close enough that's been extinct for, or we think has been extinct for an extended period of time, right? Take, I mean, all of your Bigfoots could possibly be extant versions of Gigantopithecus or something along those lines. And I would assume if it is, it would probably be a pongid and not a sapiens or a homo. It would not be a hominid at all. It would be a pongid. So I guess it would be a pongamid? Pongamin? I don't know. Anyway, they wouldn't even be on the same branch of humanity as Neanderthal and Denisovans. They would have split away much, much longer ago and would probably be closer to red than the black that we hear about, because they would be more closely related to orangutans than they are to us or gorillas, right? But the description is typically gorilla-like. Well, there was maybe 24 creatures back in the day that all fit the bill for Gigantopithecus. I'm sorry, but for Sasquatch or Bigfoot or the Muskman or whatever else you want to call him. You know, it's not that these things didn't exist. It's that they don't currently exist. You don't know me. I was trying to make a point. Now I don't remember what the fuck it was. God damn it. Y'all suck. Y'all all suck equally. Thank you. I'm glad. I needed something to suck. Dear God.
And this is a hard question to answer, as the Earth...
We haven't actually heard the question. I want to hear the question.
Many have wondered what the Earth was like before
You might want to share the video.
It still hasn't popped up, has it?
Nope.
All right, I'll click it again. Hey, there we go. Welcome to the world of StreamYard. All right, one more time for the cheap seats.
Many have wondered what the Earth was like before humans, and this is a hard question to answer, as the Earth doesn't like to stay the same for long, and thus, through its 4.5 billion years, it has seen many extremely different realities than our present one. However, there was a small sliver of time when the Earth was unusual even for its own standards, when the Earth and those that inhabited it were unlike anything seen.
All right. Nope. That's what that is. That is a nope. You see the nope?
Nope.
Today, this is Earth as it was 250 million years ago. The world had just entered the Mesozoic era following the Paleozoic, and specifically was experiencing the early Triassic. During these days, not even a map of the world would be recognizable, as the planet was still largely covered by the supercontinent Pangaea. This giant landmass occupied around a third of the Earth's total surface and consisted of over 95% of all land. Only to the east were there other substantial landmasses in the form of continental islands, which consisted of what would become today North China and South China. The minor Amurian tectonic plate was also separated from the supercontinent, being composed of present-day Korea, parts of Japan, and northeastern China. These islands would have been surrounded by the Paleotethys Sea, which contained very balmy waters as the equator ran right through it for its entire width. And to the east of this sea, the largest body of water to ever exist could be found, the Panthalassic superocean. This gargantuan body of water would have been at least 1,860 miles or 3,000 kilometers longer than the Pacific at its widest, covering over 60% of prehistoric Earth. And yet, despite the very unnormal proportions of the land masses and bodies of water, they would perhaps not be the most concerning thing.
Where are the mushrooms? I mean, the ferns had firmly occupied land for millions of years up to this point. Conifers. What was those other ones? What went extinct? Cicadas? Not cicadas, not the bug, but the fucking plant. Can't remember.
Someone would notice if transported back in time, as that would probably be how unbearably hot it was. Some paleontologists think that the temperatures during the early Triassic may have ranged from 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, or 49 to 60 degrees Celsius during the summer. It was especially brutal towards the center of Pangaea, where it was typically arid and rainless, exacerbated by large mountain ranges.
I'm not going to lie. I suspect it was bugs. Almost. If we weren't strand followers that ate the clams and the sea life, and that's where we got our brain boost protein from, then it was obviously the bugs of the African savanna. That's the only other deposit of protein dense enough to actually have an effect that non-tool using simians could possibly achieve. And yes, we had some serious fucking Super Mario Brothers activity going on like way back in the time. Yeah, he's correct.
Blocked clouds. Because of the extreme heat, large parts of Pangaea were made up of expansive deserts where life was practically impossible, and only smaller creatures could survive. Hot summer days here were no doubt bad news, but nights were not much better in these mega deserts as low humidity and vegetation coverage led to freezing temperatures.
All right, y'all. This is one of those cases where not all heroes wear capes. Welcome in, Patricia. Good to see you. Thank you for doing what you do.
This wasteland-like nature of the early Triassic was largely a result of the fact that less than 2 million years before, the world had experienced the worst mass extinction in history, the Permian-Triassic extinction event. This Armageddon was likely caused by volcanic eruptions originating from the Siberian traps, which released so much volcanic carbon dioxide that it created a scalding Earth. During this event, 90% of all species, including more than 95% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species, were eradicated. This immense loss of life, coupled with the lasting effects of the eruptions, led to the early Triassic being very undiverse in life, and also made it hard for the survivors to make a comeback.
So, back in the late 80s, about 89 to 90, there was, I can't remember the dude's name, but there was this like explorer that was out trying to find uncontacted tribes to try to get like some unvarnished history, some oral tradition to write down. That's what he was looking for. And he finds this one place out in the Amazon. These people never seen white man, right? And he stays with them for a couple of weeks. And he's taking down all of their oral traditions and everything, and he's writing it down, and it's all going well until he hears one of the kids in the village start whistling the Mario theme. And he immediately stands up, turns around, and looks, and the kid has a bandage on his leg that is a Mickey Mouse t-shirt that had been cut up. And he immediately abandoned the project to go deeper into the forest to try to find a less contacted tribe. Although I never really understood why. those cloud people are not going to let you find them. And when you do, they're going to leave.
Right.
And as far as the Andaman Islands are concerned, they're going to eat you. Verified.
Yet, life still managed to find a way. In the interiors of Pangaea, not many animals would have been found. But towards the poles is where things got interesting, as the temperatures were more forgiving and life became more abundant. One may even expect...
The greatest video game tomb of all time was the pause screen for 007 GoldenEye.
No.
Dude is grooving so hard. I remember just leaving it paused so that I could listen to it while I was like washing dishes or cooking or whatever. It's so laid back and chill. If you don't
remember the Doom. Dang, that's
yeah, no,
old.
the soundtrack of Doom's fucking awesome. Standing on some demon's face, firing 12 gauge shells directly down his throat. It's fun.
Expect to find some dinosaurs, as this was part of the Mesozoic, the age of dinosaurs, after all. However, there would be none at this time, as they would only begin appearing 7 million years later. Instead, you would find the most abundant creature of all, the Lystrosaurus. This was an unassuming herbivorous dicynodont that had managed to survive the Permian extinction.
Wasn't famous
As a
for
survivor,
music.
it didn't have much to compete with and quickly became the most populous animal, inhabiting huge swathes of Pangaea, especially in the southern parts, with sometimes attributing up to 95% of a location's total population. The exact way of how it dodged extinction isn't fully known, but scientists do know that the dicynodonts weren't the only ones to persist, as Australians also inhabited these lands. These were non-mammalian synapsids that possessed large heads and were found throughout Eurasia, Africa, and even Antarctica. During the Permian, these were abundant apex predators that overthrew the previous rulers.
My big head is on my shoulders. Yes.
But volcanic eruptions had severely lowered their populations and caused abundant growth. The largest of this group to remain was the Mascarinus, which could still reach 1.5 meters or 6.9 feet in total body length, and had a cat-like body, leading to the idea that it hunted like large cats today. It likely preyed upon the Lystrosaurus, as well as another group of survivors, the non-mammalian cynodonts, which included the likes of Galesaurus and Thrinaxodon, which were early relatives of mammals. However, the Mascarinus...
Can I lodge my desire to eat almost all of these animals?
Why?
I just want that in the book so that in the event, a Pugosaurus. Bootsy, come on. You tricked me out over here.
Was no longer the king of Pangaea. That title instead went to the newly emerged Archosauriforms, who were crocodile-like animals that were carnivorous and possessed sprawling gaits plus long, hooked snouts. One of the first of this group on the scene was the Proterosuchus, a slim yet long-bodied reptile that could achieve a length of 4 meters or 13 feet. For a long time, it was thought that this creature was semi-aquatic, and ambushed prey in a fashion similar to modern crocodilians. However, its environment appears to have been very arid, with intense droughts, leading to speculation that it was really a terrestrial hunter.
Girl, throw me some,
Whatever the
some
case
gang
is,
signs.
there is no argument that it was an apex predator of its time, and hunted other
What's up,
smaller
baby?
animals,
Damn, you stupid
including the
fly. Hold on.
parareptiles.
I'm gonna let everybody get a little juicy around here.
What, you want juice? I didn't bring any juice.
You got
no
all
juice. No juice. No more sugar for you fucks.
Oh shit. Low state.
That's right. I am.
Oh no. I want to be in the middle.
That's what she said.
There's a joke in there. I'm gonna leave it alone.
She told the joke.
Touche.
You're late to the party, bro.
I was really just gonna fuck it up by taking it too far.
Another 10 minutes.
I am on my stream. I'm on a stream in here.
Okay.
Just so you're aware.
Are you streaming this?
Double timer.
I'm in here on a share screen. Right. So
Okay.
it's just, but I am on a live stream. I scheduled one without remembering, and then I saw your email. So We're kind of multitasking if that works for you.
You
If
just
it doesn't,
let this play out. You can stick around or don't. It's with you. It's just about perfect because you're here.
Oanetta and Procolophon. The herbivorous theropsid Myosaurus may have also been potential prey to the Proterosuchus. Although the Proterosuchus was not the most feared archosauriform, that distinction went to the Erythrosuchidae, a family of unusually large and robust archosauromorphs which were the largest predators on Earth at the time. A peculiar feature that made them even more fearsome were their disproportionate giant heads, which were exceptionally similar to those seen in the megatheropods that would emerge many millions of years later. These features made them extremely successful, and they could be found throughout what is now Russia, China, India, and South Africa. And of all the Erythrosuchids, the most fearsome of all was the Erythrosuchus. This was not only the largest family, but also the biggest land carnivore to exist during the early Triassic, being 5 meters or 60.
Just, you know.
Yeah, no. It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
I can do so much with photo. I mean, I would never do anything with Photoshop.
Hey, keep talking me off.
Oh yeah, baby. Just stroke it a little faster. Make sure you put a little oomph into it. I'd like to get a callus before this is done.
Man, y'all need to stop.
It just get zesty in here, didn't it?
Well, you showed up. I mean, obviously.
Well, I didn't know that I was walking into science class. When do they start eating Alan Grant?
Well, we've got another 100 million years before his ass is toast.
Here and here and here.
Asshole. Yeah. I'm a dick. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Over 2 tons. It also had the most disproportionate head in its family, which closely resembled that of the Tyrannosaurus, and alone accounted for 20% of its total length. This large skull was equipped with many sharp conical teeth designed to grip and tear prey, which consisted of any animal it could get a hold of. In addition to specialized teeth, it likely also had a very strong bite, as along with its mammoth skull, it had an intensely muscled short neck that supported its biting function. It was no doubt the undisputed king of Pangaea during its time.
That's a very good point. I like that as a good spot to kind of hop off right here. Correct. Most ancient cultures have stories about dragons. I suspect this is more related to the inadvertent discovery and misunderstanding of fossils than anything else. After all, they had to explain why the dragon on the side of the hill over there is dead, right? What killed it?
I zoned out for well, I don't know what killed it. Probably global warming.
Oh, you make me feel so smart right now. Okay. Sorry.
That's just the Dunning-Kruger.
Burn.
Fuck around and find out.
She don't even know she got smoked yet. She's sure it happened. She just don't know how.
She's gonna have to Google it. Look it up.
I will. Don't worry.
The natural blonde. You can tell.
Shut your mouth.
I once had to take her to the hospital after I stuck a scratch and sniff sticker at the bottom.
No.
I was about to go get some aloe vera for that burn though, unless you've got some.
You might need a compress. Cold.
Oh, y'all suck.
Oh, Lord. That was good, dude. That was.
It was. I might not understand it, but I know I felt it.
Just Google it. You'll enjoy it much more after you hate him completely.
The pain of knowing it will be better than the anxiety of not knowing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you'll definitely be needing a little bit of aloe vera and possibly a calamine gel. Because I imagine it probably itched when it came off. I wasn't gonna go live tonight. And then I woke up with a headache and I was like, damn, screw that. I don't want to do it. And I left. I went and got some food and some drugs and some coffee. Advil.
Of course.
Took the Advil and the coffee. I sat here and stared at the computer for like 15 minutes. And then I went, I bet they're all just so bored.
Dude, I've been loading up. I'm really getting carried away with the little video clip option that StreamYard gives.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loaded up a bunch of new good shit.
Awesome. Have you been scheduling it out ahead of you?
Hmm.
Have you been scheduling it for release later?
The little clips that I use during my live streams? I don't schedule.
I got you. Well, no, I'm talking about when your shorts, when you're doing your shorts, you don't have to keep them on your phone. You can just upload them to release later. Just upload them.
Right. Yeah.
Set it up whenever you just go manually do it. The problem is once you upload it, it's stuck wherever you uploaded it until you change the date of release, and then it'll come back to the top. So if you upload it, you can forget about it and lose it in your stack because it's 1,000 videos back.
All my shorts, actually every video that I make or live stream, it all goes straight to the yellow $sign. And so I upload them and then I appeal them and then I wait around for that. And so I don't schedule it because of that. Because the appeals aren't, sometimes they're fast, sometimes they're not.
Right. So if you just upload them in private, does it go ahead and tell you which way it goes?
I upload them all unlisted, and then I appeal it unlisted, and yeah, it'll tell me. Actually, I might have one. I have a video ready to release now. Actually,
you can't really do the scheduling thing because
no, I need to be a little more intentional about like ranking my own videos, whether they're appropriate or not. But
well, it's all a learning curve. Take your time.
Well, I mean, I just don't give a fuck about it is the problem. I don't give a fuck about their stupid fucking community guidelines. I don't give a fuck about the minutia of it. Yeah. I basically put every video to like the mild cuss words and then hope it goes through.
There you go. I just made my entire channel 18 plus. I was like, fuck it.
Did you?
Yep. From the very freaking beginning, because I knew that at some point in time I would be at this point in my life when I go fuckity fuck. That can't be on children's content.
Well, all mine are set to not for kids, but but it's not 18 over. Yep. All my shit is well, most of my viewers are not kids. That might actually be my smallest demographic.
Well, about 1/3 of mine are under 21. So
really,
I don't get it.
You got a young audience,
bro. All right, so 1/3 of my audience is over 45. 1/3 of my audience is between 35 and like 25 or whatever, and just shy of 1/3 of my audience is below 25.
So I've got like 9% that are under 25, but my biggest, that 25 to 45,
yeah,
that's half.
Right,
that's over half. That's 55%.
That's cool. My 25 to 45 is almost exactly 1/3 of my audience, and the one above that is another third of my audience.
Almost half of mine is never mind, we won't say.
They're all
55 and older.
Yeah, they're all 30 in.
You got the old man crew.
I do.
You got a lock, son. Got that shit on double lock. Like they locked in, they can't get away. They're hooked on.
Now, have you considered going into being a pay pig? Or no, the dudes would be the pay pig. Yeah. Getting money, whatever that is.
I still say she needs to fart on cakes.
Shut up.
Fake farts was a classic. There's a gap in the production, or in the there's a niche there that's open. It's not being filled. There's a market, because both me and Sasquatch know that Cake Farts is no longer a website.
Right? Unfortunately. I mean,
So we've both looked for it relatively recently.
she Izzy says she has the old bunch, but not the old man crew.
No, she says she is the old bunch.
Or she is the old bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. You want to
They
talk
get the
us out?
best medicine.
You want to talk us out, Flo?
Talk us out off. I don't know what you're asking me, but the answer is that old people get the best medicine. And so if you've got a lot of old viewers and they're not sharing their medicines with you, that's fucked up. You're doing something wrong. So share your medicine.
2, 1.
If you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror.
The communists declared that the real differences among our people constituted the